I was transported to a... Noise.
Do you want to start off this week?
What's up, Tyler?
Hey, how's it going?
Just excited to cover the third disc of Final Fantasy Unlimited, which I'm sure you are too.
Yep, I am always raring to talk more about the greatest show ever, Final Fantasy Unlimited.
Do you think Sakaguchi had a lot of involvement in this?
No, I think he had sick time during this time. I think I don't think he was in the office.
Was it caused by this, or?
Oh, yeah. This is the midlife crisis time where he was like, "Oh my God, what have I done with my life?" Actually, no. I feel like if he was in the office, I feel like this week he would have been a little bit proud because these couple episodes are not the worst.
I agree. I think probably the first disc, I'd say is still my least favorite. Second disc got a little bit better. This one's somewhere in between for me.
Mm-hmm.
Had some peaks and valleys. We start off with episode 11, which let me test you. What's the name of episode 11? I'll give you a hint. It's the name of a chocobo, a legendary chocobo.
Oh, Zeal or something?
In the Japanese, it's seal, but yeah. They probably didn't want the copyright from the singer, but I mean it's spelled different. But
yeah,
you've got Seal, the departure of Chocobo, which I was like, oh no, we're gonna lose another one. First, who did we already lose? Can you name a few of our lost
Lou,
party
right?
members? Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Lou Lupus.
Yeah.
Bonus points if you can name one more.
Oh, Fungo?
There you go. I'm so
the only person that matters is Fungo.
I was gonna say we won't have our start ourselves, but yes, this is we might see some old friends returning in these episodes too.
There's a reason why this batch of episodes it redeemed itself a little. But yeah, with episode 11.
How did you feel about it? What were your takeaways from episode 11? Was there anything you really liked about this one, or do you want to give us a brief synopsis of what you remember?
So the gang is on this kind of looks like a meadow, and they see a charging stampede of chocobos, all different kind of colors, which is cool. I liked seeing the different kind of I guess maybe species or different just varieties of chocobo. And we get to see it wasn't Chocobaba. Who
is the Chocobaba sister?
Yeah,
I don't even know how to say her name. I wrote it down. Chocoemo is how it was spelled, at least in Japanese. I mean, not in Japanese, in English, but how they have it in that dub or sub. Chokiomo. Who, I was, even in my mind, I'm like, oh, is that her little sister? And he's like, I'm the younger sister of Chocobo. I'm like, okay, yeah, that sounds right. Or something like, what's her, so she's, in the sub, she says two things over and over again, two, catchphrases. Do you know if those come up in the English? Was there two things she was saying over and over again?
What was she saying? And maybe rejog my memory.
It was, begin quote, or something like that.
I feel like she was saying something along the lines like that. Not that it really stood out, so maybe they kind of toned it down.
I guess she was being very vague about everything they asked her.
But yeah, in the beginning, when the they were being when the group was in danger of being run over by the stampede of chocobo, they realized that they're being chased by. It looked like it wasn't the same creature from episode 1, the giant just fungus mushroom thing. It looked like the same creature.
One-eyed weird mushroom thing. I think it was the same one. It definitely, we've seen it before. I can't remember if it was the first or the second episode. But
yeah, and I was like, well, is that good continuity, or were they just lazy? Could have been both.
I'm sure Yokitashi Amano, he only could make so many of these designs, right?
Yeah. We'll go over that with the other summons.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah. But yeah, the episode was kind of quaint. There wasn't really too much about it. The Chocobaba's sister basically explained that there was this legendary chocobo that I guess is not so much as there is a legendary it's like a title.
Kind of like Link.
Yeah.
There's always a legendary chocobo at one time.
Mm-hmm. And there was this kind of monolith, this stone tablet that had all these markings on it, and she was basically saying that if a chocobo had the right qualities and the attributes, it could have the power of was it seal or zeal?
Seal, at least in the Japanese.
Yeah, I think in the dub they were saying zeal. But yeah, Chobi put his claw into the pedestal, and he gained the powers of the legendary chocobo.
This is right after he departed. We get kind of a fake out. If you've watched the episode, so we're not spoiling it. But
this was the
Chobi looked like going into the family of the fold of Chocobo, be with its kind. But thankfully,
this was the bye-bye Butterfree.
Oh, seriously!
It was legit beat for beat. It was like a pink chocobo, and in Pokemon it was a pink Butterfree, and they're both like, oh, I want to go with them, and both you and Ash are just like, get out of here, go.
Just go. Yeah, no tears. I'm watching it as we speak, and I mean, you does look a little sad, but no tears. And at least to my eye, it was more of a red chocobo. But
Oh, true. Shades of red, but very similar
I'm sure there's some chocobo experts out there. I know in Final Fantasy Tactics, the red chocobo is the one that can do a meteor spell, so that could be important. And it was kind of in Final Fantasy Unlimited, it was a slightly more small, maybe a baby or toddler chocobo.
Yeah. Besides that, nothing crazy that I else remember about the episode. The only significance that Chobi being the legendary chocobo is that he now gains the ability to fly.
And I'd forgotten it up until now, but so the reason he becomes, or the reason for the show at least, is Omega shows back up when they leave Chobi and get back on the subway, and Omega starts attacking them, and it looks like Kaze is gonna try to help him out, but eventually they do need a savior, and who would have thought it's gonna be Chobi.
And Chobi decides to stay with them because they get into trouble too much. And Yu is a little embarrassed by that, but I guess he was happy in the end. But yeah, it was a good episode. I didn't have any, any crazy criticisms about it. Nothing that was made me love the episode though. I liked Chobi's new armor's design. I think it's cool. It's kind of just it kind of reminds me of when we were kids and things. You'd go to Toys R Us and you go down the toys aisle and you just see toys from your favorite show, but then there would be like, oh, there's battle armor, and it's like that. It was never in like the show or in the movies or anything, but there's always toys for like, oh, this is the battle armor, and it's like it always reminded me of that. It was just like, this is just the generic armor they always designed to look cool, but it's definitely looks are more than function. It looks.
That's a better. I was thinking of it as like the Power Ranger version of Chocobo, but I like your explanation better, because yeah, there would always be some like knockoff shit at like Toys R Us or Kmart. It's like, oh, this one's on sale. No, Mom, I don't want that one. I just want the normal one. Well, we got it for you anyway.
It's cheaper, honey.
I love that the Chocobo language. I'm watching they just showed a shot of the monolith. It's literally just, Chocobo prints. It's like, how many different, or it's only like up and down and sideways. That's like, what, 4 letters? But I guess you could, certain patterns. But I wonder if anyone's done a deep dive and tried to decode the Chocobo language from this show. This might be like the most insight we've had to Chocobos in any. Well, I never really did play that PS1 game, Chocobo Dungeon, but.
Oh yeah, that's like a mystery dungeon game, right?
Yeah, mystery dungeon.
Yeah.
I played we rented it once. That and Chocobo Racing, but.
I think
Square games I still don't own, but.
I think I own that.
Ooh, I'll buy it from you.
I don't own it on the PlayStation. I think.
I thought it only came out on the PlayStation.
Well, I'd have to look. They made one on, was it the DS or
okay, I could see DS, yeah.
Yeah, or the 3DS. It was like a Chocobo Tales or something like that. I have to Google it real quick.
That sounds right, yeah. I was thinking of from that PS1 era. I know it didn't come out in like the N64, I don't think.
Yeah, I have this one. I bought it so many years ago. Oh yeah, it came out in 2006.
I wonder if there's any continuity between that and this. But so the summon for this episode, do you remember the summon?
This wasn't this wasn't Titan. That was the fungus one.
No, it was Titan.
Oh, was it Titan? I thought Titan was the fungus one.
Well, as we're going to see in some of these future episodes, there's going to be some reusing of summons.
Kaze starts spamming the summon field.
Yeah. It's like when you get to the end of any Final Fantasy and you've got all the summons just ready to go, and you're like, well...
Just have a shit ton of MP and just start unloading.
But yeah, this was my least favorite of the bunch.
Yeah, Titan's design looked really lazy.
Yeah. Most of these ones that we're going to see, especially since they're reused, definitely not my favorite style. Again, very polygonal, very abstract from the source material with most of the summons. But
oh wait, hold on. Oh, hold on, Evan.
Currently holding. The appropriate soil to use has been decided. The solid earth that protects. Gaia Brown. The hidden silent passion. Deep Vermilion. And finally, the eternal vitality of life. Evergreen. Smash, I summon you, Titan.
Alright, are you there?
Yeah, I was just reciting all the lines for the summon.
Sorry. Definitely don't keep this in though, but my cat just projectile vomited.
Keep that in, bro. The viewers have a right to know. That's what they came here for.
Yeah, she has this like little like cat tower bed, and I look over and she's just like gagging. I was like, oh shit. And I've never seen her throw up like this. She threw up like Squirtle was using water gun. It was just like,
Hell yeah.
I was like, oh my fucking god.
I've seen that before. It's been a long time, but I remember I had a cat that had done that at one point.
Yeah.
Is your cat there?
No, she's not in the
jingling
room. Oh, that's Skittles way in the other room.
Ah.
Sorry, he's...
Skittles.
Do you need me to... Do you think that... Oh, well, obviously, I guess I can pick up on the mic.
Yeah, I mean, I can hear that. I didn't hear it before this point, though. But.
Hold on. I'll go tell him. Olivia, cut it out.
I mean, it's not a huge deal. It'll just have the viewers, listeners wondering.
Okay, Jesus. All
What's the
right.
problems?
All right.
But yeah, so that episode ends with them getting back on the subway, even though the subway doesn't appear to have any rails that it's going on, just kind of magically finds its way back into the subway system.
Mm-hmm.
And so then we start off episode 12, Fungus, Eternal Life, with probably the moment I laughed out loud so hard. Can you remember how this actually starts?
No. Does it start with the Earl and them or no?
Technically, yes. So I think it might be in like the prelude to the episode where they're introducing it, or Fabula is talking. They're talking about Fungus, and they show like live action Fungus, and I was just cracking up at how out of place.
I thought that was really jarring. I was like, was someone on the production team just like outside, and they were like, oh man, this mushroom is glorious. They just took a picture and they put it in the show.
What other didn't Evangelion do something like that, where they just had like at the end of it they just had like some live action? I can't remember. There's some anime that did.
Yeah.
And it just took me out of it. I was like, what?
Yeah, it was really jarring. I remember I wanted to make a point of that. I just completely forgot. I was like, what?
But yeah, back to the episode at hand. The actual, like you said. So it's the Earl talking to all the henchmen. They're all comparing their crystal sizes, trying to show off. We learned that Urba only likes large crystals, so kind of a size queen there. And then after that, we get I'll just let that one linger. There was Fungus is the only one who wasn't able to get a crystal, and then I think it's Oscar that kind of goads him into actually going out and giving him a hard time because he didn't get a crystal. Make sure he does get some of that Omega crystal action. Yeah,
and it's interesting that like they explain that these are shards of Omega that have been scattered throughout Wonderland, and they've been searching for them. It's really interesting foreshadowing, because in the intro of the show, the first thing you see is that crystal when the intro song's playing and it's spinning around. I was like, oh shit! I was like, catch. Yeah, I was like, oh shit! They've shown bits of Omega the whole time.
It's been in front of us the whole time. Hide in plain sight. And they drop some good lore here. So Omega only turns into a crystal once Omega's urge to destroy is quenched. So and we get, I think, later in this episode and the next few episodes, we kind of get a better sense of why Wonderland might exist and what the Earl's ultimate goals are. But so after I did write down one line I need to make sure I get verbatim, just because it was so creepy. So when they're on the subway, Yu is talking to what's her name, Lisa?
Mm-hmm.
Is that her name? So he wakes up from the subway. He looks up at Lisa and he says, "I've never seen you sleep, Lisa." And that really caught me off guard. How creepy that sounded to me, coming from a little boy.
They're making it definitely like there's some kind of issue that the writers are trying to say about how you and I keep noticing that Lisa does things weirdly. Like, she has, like, weird laughs. She supposedly doesn't, like, eat or sleep. Sometimes they'll bring, notice about it, but there's no payoff as of yet. So it just kind of just seems weird every time they bring it up because, it's like, why are they bringing attention to this? What does this mean?
I wasn't even talking about Lisa being creepy. I was talking about you being creepy, trying to watch her sleep.
Oh, well, yeah.
But I see where you're saying, too. That makes a lot of sense. Yeah, because she does, every time they bring up something like that, she just laughs and deflects it and moves the conversation on. So she's definitely still haven't cracked the walnut to see what's inside when it comes to Lisa.
Yeah. And so this episode is mainly, this is like a two-parter technically. Episode 12 and episode 13 tie into each other about mainly Lord Fungus. Oscar explains that he found, with the help of Crux, the little angel sprite girl, that they found a location that can amplify Lord Fungus's power. And Lord Fungus is like, oh shit, yeah, I want to, make use of this so I can, beat Kaze and beat those punks that always keep thwarting him. And so he goes to this area, and it's a fragment of his home world. I think of even his hometown, he exclaims. And you learn that he is just like everybody else in Wonderland. He came from a distant world, and his world was destroyed. And he is a survivor, but he is now, on the Earl's side, which is interesting because the way this episode plays out, I wonder if he was taken advantage of, because it seems like I don't know if this is like I'm reading into things that might not be there, but I'm thinking Earl is connected to Chaos because the way.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like they spell that out not super clearly. It's still kind of oblique in the couple episodes, but there's definitely a connection between, like, he wants to become this god, and Omega seems to be the way that he's doing this. But yeah, they definitely seem to take advantage of Lord Fungus. We'll see, I think, in the next episode, but whenever he is defeated, they don't they don't give a shit. They're just like, oh yeah, he's taken care of. Cool food.
And this
is in the next episode again. I think we'll see this more. But my grand conspiracy is that Omega is kind of like Bob from Twin Peaks, just this malevolent evil that just feeds on misery and destruction. Just this constant id energy that's just kind of this cycle of, these worlds are destroyed, and then the Earl feeds off of them, kind of how almost every episode Earl is eating something from a world, is kind of like a microcosm.
Yeah, it seems like there's some kind of connection between what Chaos is, what Omega is, and then what the Earl is to Chaos, because the Earl is hungry and he needs to satiate his hunger. Same with, they're saying Omega has the same properties.
And even with Kaze, his gun, I mean, when it wants to activate is somewhat random, almost like hunger. It only happens at certain times. I don't know. That could be a little more.
Yeah,
grasping at straws. But
yeah, I like how they're presenting just enough to kind of give you a glimpse, but not so much that they're completely showing their hand. There are still some mysteries. But yeah, this episode is basically a two-parter. Lord Fungus is basically unstoppable in this area because he has like assimilated himself into the mushrooms and the spores, and so he's almost like Cell. Like,
yeah, I was gonna say, I wrote down the same thing.
Yeah, he every time Kaze is trying to nuke him with a summon, he's basically just able to. Lord Fungus is able to tap into the power of these the fungus around in his home world, and he's able to basically become unstoppable. And Kaze is trying to nuke him with all these summons, and he basically is just spamming summons at this point. He throws out Phoenix at him. What was the first one?
I was gonna say you missed the first one.
Yeah, it's the electric horse. What was it?
Ixion.
Yeah, Ixion.
I remember when he was doing even just the colors to wind it up. I was like, wait a minute, I recognize these, and then it was Ixion. I'm like, gosh, what? And then the next one was Phoenix. I'm like, so we've already hit the end of the list, and we're starting back over, I guess.
Yeah. Which I thought was smart of him, where it's like, yeah, it's a plant matter, burn it, but it seemed like that wasn't enough. The spores were still too much for him.
Or even just the same mentality with spamming summons in the game. You just start off with your weakest ones and just start going up in terms of strength.
And then Mackenzie shows up briefly.
I think that goes into the
is that the next episode?
Yeah. So I mean, this is essentially a two-parter, but
yeah.
This is episode 13, Meteor, Abominable Memory. What a name! But yeah, so this is my favorite line, at least in the sub. Just the laziest writing I think I've ever seen is the reason why the kids have to watch the fight and don't get out for safety. I can't remember who says it, but somebody says, I think it's probably you, is like, I feel like it's important that we watch this fight. And I'm just like, oh, okay.
He does say that, I remember. And they're flying around on Chobi when in his ultimate form. And I was just like, yeah, that's lazy. It's like, oh, something's gonna happen.
He could have just said nothing, and I wouldn't have noticed. Like, oh yeah, they're concerned for their Kaze or something. But no, it's very important we watch this fight.
And it wasn't in the end. Mackenzie has a brief encounter with Kaze the Black Wind, and they both are like kind of thwarting each other. Mackenzie's kind of making jabs at Kaze that his Magun isn't thawing, and
I hate it when another guy points that out about somebody. It's just low blow.
So yeah, don't point out my Magun's not thawing. Come on.
Hey, don't worry about my soil situation, okay? You worry about your soil. I'll worry about my soil.
And Kaze shoots his smoke jars. I don't know what you call like his essence things, and he's ticking them off. I can't really remember like how they get out of that situation, how they get back.
It just kind of does like a hard cut.
Yeah.
At some point, and then you're just there, like. But I wrote something down, and I'm not. This just might be something stupid I did. I wrote something down, and I have no idea what I meant by it. I think it's something somebody says. I think it's when they cut back to the Earl, and the Earl's like watching the fight through like a projection frog thing. I wrote down bucket juice, question mark. I don't know if that's something he was eating that he called bucket juice, but that just struck me as funny.
It struck me as funny, Harry. Do you understand me? It struck me as funny.
Is there anything in the dub where they mentioned bucket juice?
No, I don't think so. I think that's amazing.
We'll never know.
Yeah.
But yeah, Kaze and Lisa get submerged into the mushroom depth with Mackenzie. Mackenzie kind of ambushes them. He uses his prelude of the white heat or whatever the hell. And then, so you, I, and Chobi are kind of mushroomified.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they have they almost look like they're just wearing mushroom costumes. They're not really doing it. It's yeah.
Status ailment.
Yeah.
I guess. But the next thing I wrote, this is where we get some of the kind of more interesting lore stuff. I feel like it cuts back to the Earl, and they're talking about outside worlds and God's egg, and chaos is order, which I guess is the start of 1984. Chaos is order. Love is war, blah, blah, blah. He just got done reading that. And then something about super solidification. So I think his plan is just, I guess he destroys all these worlds. He feeds on them. He creates God's egg, which might be Omega or him. I don't know. I am very interested to see if this pays off at all at the end.
Yeah, it seems more...
Or if it's just like a big MacGuffin.
Not even that. It's almost how you were just saying, like, it's... I don't want to say this in a mean way, but it sounds just pretentious in a way, like when you're writing something and you're writing something and it's like, oh man, I wanted to make this story interesting. So you just start throwing all these like crazy terms in there and all these, references to other literature, and it's like, this doesn't add to it. It's just muddling it up.
I don't know. They got me. They succeeded with me, at least. I'm hooked. Whenever you say God's egg, I'm like, I just watched that anime movie, Angel's Egg, and I like that. So can't imagine what God's egg is.
It's like what's the thing in Berserk?
What is
the
that
Behelit or whatever, the red egg.
The Behelit, it's like amulet, but with God's egg, devil's fetus, anything like that just gets me interested. So they succeeded for me. I feel like it would turn me off, but maybe it's the only thing that's keeping me going at this point.
Yeah, I mean, I think I did like the lore. I'll spoil a little bit about upcoming episodes. They even talk about more of the mechanics of the world and how the Magon works with the soil and how that principle tech is the same that the subway used. And I was like, why are they explained it in such a little, like a short little bit with Sid in the beginning. I'm just like, why isn't this just in the episode? And this is explained naturally. It's like, it almost just feels like a little PSA where I'm just like, I like the lore, but let this organically come out.
I felt like it was like those little midway bookends in like Attack on Titan, where they would be like, oh, a Titan is this, if it's this 3 foot tall abnormal, it was like all this lore. And I mean, I like the fact that it was here, and I didn't give the the anime enough credit. Like, I was like, oh, they probably don't even think about this, and they have. There's lots of stuff that is thought out, which is interesting. But yeah, I mean, obviously it would have been better if Sid had just explained it in an episode if they asked him. I feel like that would make more sense.
Yeah.
I still don't mind just learning about it. But before we get into next episode, so Crux drops a bunch of ashes, and we're like, what the heck? And then it turns out to be mold. So we can see that like the other generals, because Crux kind of works for Oscar, I believe. So they're sabotaging him so that he can be destroyed. Kaze uses Horizon Gold, Arrow Black, and Photo Silver to make a summon I'm not familiar with, Meteor Master.
Yeah.
Familiar? I feel like
no, not at all.
I mean, Meteor, obviously, Sephiroth, lots of meteor spells in Final Fantasy, but I'm not familiar with an enemy or a summon called Meteor Master. I might have to do some research, but that was interesting. It kind of looked like a Tonberry if it turned into God or something. It was a weird design, but one of the more interesting summon designs that we've seen, I feel like, and still not that great.
Yeah, it was nothing that I was like, oh man, I'm loving this. It had this like weird frog-like face, and one arm was like a ball of fire, and the other arm was like, it looked like someone made it in like 15 minutes in a blender. I don't know. I just feel like there's so much potential with a story like this. And I don't know if it was just the production budgets and like things were, there's just, money and time was against them. I feel like this show could have been really special, but I feel like just issues got in the way. And I'm really curious, like, if it was all those things or if it was just like, not good direction, It's very interesting.
Probably a combination, but yeah. I'm rewatching the Meteor Master just to see what he looks like because I wrote down my description. But yeah, he's just a weird looking design, but still not memorable. So that's almost impressive to pull that off. But yeah, I'd be curious to see what is the main factor of this show not quite coming together. Because again, it's got some interesting ideas. It's got a few things going for it, but it has not quite landed.
Mm-hmm.
I think we can move on. Let's see, to episode 14, Omega, Reunion and Departure. And I'm noticing a theme, and departure is one of my favorite words, but they're using the word departure in a lot of different... I wonder if that's just an easy-to-translate thing from Japanese, but a lot of episodes starting off with departure. And the show starts off with a departure. But yeah, this is where we get into, the fact that, the food for chaos, and they're talking about Chaos's room.
Yeah, and McKinchy, like, perked up about that a lot. He was like, huh? He's like, Chaos's room. And it's like, okay, so this is meaning to him. I was like, is he interested in this because he is... I have the inkling of that McKinchy's a double agent. I really don't think he is necessarily like, on the side of the Earl. I think it's just like a means to an end. That's how
He definitely seems like a rogue kind of element,
It doesn't seem like he is technically, on their side, but he's also just like, he's not on the good side, but he's,
Would you say he's chaotic?
Ooh, there we go.
Ooh. And then this is the episode that made me afraid that this was going to be the stereotypical recap episode of the anime.
Oh, God.
Like right about halfway, and there's a lot of flashbacks in it, but thankfully it's not, but there's definitely a portion of it where I was like, wait, are we doing this?
Yeah.
Are we gonna have the swimsuit go into the beach episode after this? Like, I was getting some deja vu anime feels there, but this is where we get some more, and I think this is where I put my Bob theory together, because this is where we get a line that's like, chaos feeds on hearts consumed by terror. So it's not just the fact that he's consuming worlds, he's terrorizing them and seems to feed off of the terror, which is where I drew the Bob connection, not just the pure destruction, but feeding off of a certain emotion. But again, I'm not sure if they're big Twin Peaks fans or not, but
yeah, I mean, Twin Peaks does have a strong connection in Japan, so I mean, it could, for all we know, but I'm not sure.
And then the next just quick trivia. I didn't get to write it all down, but in that recap portion, I feel like we got some like new scenes of when the kids do try to go to Wonderland, and they might have mentioned this before and I missed it, but they were telling like Harry Potter. They're like, the only time you can get there is like 13 minutes and 13 seconds after midnight on like a certain, like after like 2 full moons, or I don't know, it's something random. But I was like, 13, and that's like really well known as being like a bad number in Japan, even more so than here. Like they don't even make 13, like they skip the 13th floor in buildings because of like there's so superstition. So thought that was interesting.
Yeah, I was worried too that part of the episode. I was like, oh man, we're in a. All right, this is the filler episode where we just catch everybody up. But it course corrected itself, and it only spent, maybe a third of the episode kind of recapping some events, just so it jogs people's memories. And then what happened in this one? What was?
Yeah, I'm reading through my notes and I'm trying to figure it out. I'm like, I've got a lot of notes here, and yet I don't see anything about the story.
Is this
really,
so it's this is the Comedine, right? Episode?
I think that's next episode. No, it gets into that. Yeah, that happens like midway through the episode. But first, I guess Omega attacks the subway again, and then destroys the subway, and then there's another Omega crystal. That's kind of where we find out that it was, and Sid alludes, kind of goes into this later in the episode, but that the whatever material that was running the subway is a certain kind of element, which is the same thing as an Omega crystal, really.
Yeah, I think he said it was like a hunk of antimatter that at one point was Omega, and I was like...
Oh, yes, I hit my glasses on the mic. Antimatter fragment is what they call it in the sub. Mm-hmm. But yeah, they get saved, so the subway's destroyed, and then Fabula, even right after she says she can't help them, saves them and takes them to this icy world. And the other thing I noticed that I want to bring up that has nothing to do with anything, but did you notice in this episode, it's only for like a second, but like one of the songs has like a Final Fantasy IX melody in it?
No.
なんとか生き延びられたわね。地下鉄壊れちゃったけどね。
でもポシェポケがストーブ出してくれなかったらほんとやばかったよ。
この吹雪じゃチョビちゃんも。
Yeah, it might just be a coincidence, but I was like, wait a minute, is this is like almost like the Melodies of Life? Like, I'll have to re-listen and see what part of it reminded me of that. But little copyright. Oh, and I made a really bad pun. So this is, I think, the episode where Yu realizes he's useless. I wrote useless like his name. Useless. Just when you do this, or when I do this episode, I'll put a little like graphic. But this is where we get to the most important part of the episode, and I'm gonna let you take it away from here.
Oh God.
You talked about it earlier. Kind of the reason these episodes are good.
Oh, the lore part.
The return of Fungo.
Oh shit! Yeah. I mean, I was actually pretty hyped that he came back. He's actually grown on me. At first, I was like, Fungo. The first time he was showing up. But this time, I feel like, I don't know, there's just something a little bit more to him now. Especially in the next episode, you'll see that, like, he has this weird, like otherworldly perception that he can, like, sense danger, but
but not very well.
Yeah, it's
he's like one of the mystery men. He's like, he can turn invisible, but only when no one
the Comedine show back up, along with, what's the Comedine's leader's name?
What's my name backwards?
Nave?
Yep.
Yeah, Nave shows back up, and he has this, like, it's always this, like, it's supposed to be, like, one of those, like, oh my God, it's an anime moment between a man and a woman, and it's dramatic. And it's a parody, but it's, like, it always happens between Nave and Lisa. And
yeah, it's so
Lisa's
weird.
just like, Hi. It's supposed to be a joke.
I just learned a new term. I don't know if I'm using it right. Are we standing for them? Is that how you use that word?
No, like
No.
a stan. Do you know where that comes from?
I know it's from that TV Tropes website, right, or something.
Well, I think it originally comes from the Eminem song "Stan."
I'm gonna do a little research break. Let me do a quick fact check.
Because the whole song is about like a crazy fan.
Oh, is it? Let's see. Urban Dictionary.
That's the
Like
Eminem song where he samples the Dido White Flag song.
Oh, nice. I feel like I saw something that went into different etymology, but that's all. That's all I'm getting though.
Oh, what Eminem?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But I thought there was. What's the one where like? Okay, so here's as a verb. Let's see, but I don't know. I've heard people use it as like when you want a relation. Oh, shipping. I think I'm getting that confused with shipping. Yeah, which is like relationship, I guess.
Yeah.
Shipping, but okay, so redact that part. Edit it to where it makes sense. Or I think it'll be my episode when it comes up.
It's just gonna be like shipping.
Shipping. I almost did that to my one of my other videos earlier, where I just like got so lazy. I was just like, I'll just replace this one word. No one will notice. But yeah, so are we shipping for Nave and Lisa? Would you like to see them together?
No.
For me, I don't feel the chemistry there. I feel a lot of enthusiasm from Nave, but I'm not feeling it from Lisa. I think her heart's taken. What's your take?
No, I mean I'm in total agreement. I don't even think. I'm not even sure what Lisa's true intentions are. I feel like the kids are definitely like, oh my god, Kaze and Lisa, you two love each other. But it's like, it's just a childish way of seeing like, a man and a woman. But I'm pretty sure Lisa, like her intentions are, she has affiliations with something else. She's trying to complete some kind of mission or task. So I don't know if she's trying to look for somebody too.
Didn't they mention in one of these episodes that she's looking for her boyfriend? But I don't know if they were like referencing Kaze or if they were referencing another thing that maybe I just didn't pick up on earlier.
In one of these episodes, Yu says, "Oh, do you miss your boyfriend?" And I was like, and she did her like the fake laugh, and I was like, I don't know if this is just lost in translation. I don't know what's going on. Or I don't know if it's just bad storytelling. Could be all the above.
Maybe they just always assume that, if you're a pretty girl, you have a boyfriend. I don't know. It could be a lot of things. But back to the episode, they're trying to get to the secret northern facility, which they're not doing a very good job of keeping secret.
Yeah.
And then I wrote Nave macking on Lisa, so we covered that. And then we are revealed that the name of the subway is Elizabeth because Sid invented her, and he gives the name to each invention. And then he shows, obviously, the return of Sid, so we're all very happy to see that. And then he shows off his ultimate flying machine. I'll give you 100 points if you can name the name of the ultimate flying machine.
Oh, was it June?
Sylvia.
Oh, what was June? June was the submarine, right?
Remember June? I'll have to look back at my notes.
I thought.
I know there's been a Catherine.
Yeah.
But I know there's one for the clock, the Chocobo clock too. I think. But,
and
I think there was a name for the gun too. But
what's interesting is that so
Sid uses these things and he names them women because he uses them. Yeah, that is interesting.
How old is Sid? And
I don't know.
Yeah, well, it's like at one point it's like the subway. It must have been going for years because their parents, you and I, used it to get into Wonderland. But it's also at a point where it's like Sid doesn't look super old, but he created the subway. And he said that he never rode on it. He never got a chance to actually ride on it, which he was really upset about.
Oh shit! I'm having like the weirdest deja vu. Like we had this conversation like 10 years ago, or like I have a memory of us talking about this from like 10 years ago, and this is where I like Galaxy Brain, the fact that like Sid is the mastermind. But I mean, you took us right there too.
Really?
Oh, this is hurting my brain right now.
Really, you've had this thought before? We've had
everything
this
we just said. This is, I hate it when this happens. I always know I should write this shit down, and I never do. But yeah, like everything you said, the fact that he invented it, the fact that he never wrote it, even though it's his own invention. Yeah. But before I had this weird brain fart, I feel like we cannot assume that Wonderland does operate on the same time. You know,
True.
Time is relative.
Mm-hmm.
Wonderland is weird. It could be like Inception or anything else where you go into a different world and, 14 years has passed in the real world, but it's only been like a couple days there. So maybe their parents think they've only been gone, but you think they would know since they've come back, like how much time, or you think we would have known because if their parents had left and come back, they would have said something like, "Oh, it's been, we were just in there for like a day. You guys say we've been gone for a year." So theoretically, that's a big plot hole if they, they do use that kind of,
I guess it all could depend on what area they are. Like you're saying, isn't that a plot point in oh my God, what's that movie? With
Inception.
No, not Inception. The other eye.
Interstellar. Dark Knight.
Yeah, Interstellar, where they go to the moon and they're like, "Oh man, this mission, we're gonna lose 50 years by doing this."
Yeah, so it's like relativity. So the closer you get to like a black hole, for instance,
Yeah, I mean,
event horizon.
It could be depending on if the parents are, in
which world?
Yeah, in an area that has properties like that. I mean, totally possible. They haven't brought attention to that yet, so if you're saying like, if they do throw it out there as like, oh, this is the reason, it would feel a little forced because there hasn't been any any build up or any like reason to believe that would be a thing.
But they don't show their parents or anything, in terms of, I don't think they ever show them like leaving. Well, I think they do show them leaving the second time, and they don't look much older, so I mean there could be some validity, but we won't get too into the weeds there. But so we find, so Sid's invented this ultimate flying machine, and they need to get the do you know what the MacGuffin that makes the flying machine fly?
Oh yeah, isn't it levitating water or something like that?
Or they call it flying water.
I was like, what?
I was like, that's hilarious.
I was like,
levitating water is not much better, but it sounds a little more scientific than flying water. But
I was like, what?
You mean a cloud?
Yeah.
But and then summon recap for no reason. I wrote down. And then they need to go to Teros, which is the land where the flying water is. Mm-hmm. Oh, the submarine is Jane.
Oh, that's what I was thinking of.
It might even be June because my handwriting's so bad. I don't remember. But.
It could be Jane. It was something like that.
And so after Fungo, do you know what the second best part of this episode was?
Oh, Piste came back.
Romancing train, bring all the pain.
What's that?
The new end.
Oh
outro.
That
song,
they have a new ending
banger.
Song.
I love that song. It was like peak late 90s, early 2000s trance techno. Oh, so good.
Yeah.
And with lyrics like "Romancing Train, Bring All the Pain," I think we can tell this is going to get pretty dark here pretty soon.
Yeah, I liked it. I think the other one was fine too. I was hoping that the intro would change too, but it hasn't yet.
Yeah, it has not.
Yeah.
I was sad as well.
But
anything else on that?
No.
Penultimate episode before we get to the last one.
No, I mean that's how I kind of just feel about these episodes. I feel like each one is just like, yeah, they're fine. I have no harsh criticisms or anything. I don't have any high praise. But episode 15 was kind of just more of the same. How does this one start?
So this is episode 15, Jane, the Moving Ocean Puzzle, which seems to be a start of like a multi-episode one. So we kind of get left off on a cliffhanger, but it starts off with them like in the submarine, kind of got the Hunt for Red October, R.I.P. Sean Connery vibe going on with the red lighting. And then this is where we get that Sid intro, where he's kind of going through all that stuff, I believe, where he's explaining the soil is energy, it creates energy or Genki, and then it if it's put into a spiral motion, it that's how it creates the energy, and so that kind of shows us like the train had that big spiral thing, Kaze's arm has some spiral shit going on, and he kind of goes into how Omega is antimatter, so which could kind of be like symbolism too, I guess. Omega is the opposite of matter. He's destruction. He's destroying things. And then only the other thing I wrote down before it gets into more of the story is that the whistle and thumbs up seems to be the Comedine like salute.
Mm-hmm.
So next time we see each other, we're going to start doing that.
I really like the Comedine. I really like how much personality they have. You get to see like their little training montage in this episode where they're practicing their they're practicing their blowing.
There are multiple ways of blowing.
Yeah, they have this like kind of like that carnival game where they hit a bell, but instead of swinging a mallet, they just blow into a hose. I don't know. I was wondering, do you think it's they used blowguns? Well, no, this wouldn't make any sense because Kaze has a gun. He has a regular gun. I was wondering if...
And, like, Sid can make fucking anything.
Yeah.
So I don't know why they're using...
yeah.
I guess it's because they're more of a resistance, but I'm watching the episode now, and I just seeing all these different, like, giant mechanical, like, ships that Sid has made. I'm like, why are they using blowguns? And, like, even when they use, like, the gun on the ship, they're like, everybody get ready to blow. And they're like... Which reminds me, so in the PS5, the Astrobot thing, there's a gimmick, kind of like the DS, where it's like, oh, blow into the controller. And I just realized how, like, bad my lung capacity is, because I could barely do it. Sad story.
Yeah. But yeah, this whole episode features around Pissed coming back. And his whole master plan is to trap the group in this in Jane or June submarine into this endless, well, technically not endless, they're
ever-changing Rubik's
Cube. Like a
Weird
puzzle.
puzzles.
Yeah, which he says it does have an end to it, but it also, the way it works is you are in a cube and it keeps rotating until eventually, if you complete all the cubes and you, I guess, defeat every encounter, I guess, you move on and you can eventually get to the end and free yourself. But if you keep losing, you'll succumb to the abyss of Wonderland and you'll be absorbed by Omega, which I thought was cool, but I'm wondering how long this will take, because this episode ends kind of like how episode 12 ended, where it was part of a series of episodes. I'm wondering if this will just be a 2-part or if this will be a 3-part, or, because it seems like more than just, if depending on how long they stretch out this cube, it could go on for a while. And I'm hoping...
I could see it being another 2 episodes. I hope it's just
one,
like they find some workaround, some exploit.
Because I feel like it could drag a little if it gets a little too bogged down on this. I like how... I didn't have too much problems with episode 12 and 13 being a continuation story and being basically a two-parter. But I do think some of the benefits of this series is that like each episode is kind of its own, storyline where it's like, there's just it's an A plot and then it gets resolved. There isn't like, crazy, like, oh my God, there's, crazy things happening. There's like all these continuities. It's like, no, it's just episodes of different locations, different, same bad guys usually. It's just the rotation of the and the Earls, generals. But at least you get to see new scenery, sometimes new characters. If it gets...
At least it seems like every single one of these cubes is going to be a different challenge, so it might change the look of it. I'm not too worried about it. It's definitely the most elaborate kind of thing we've had so far as a what's the word I'm looking for? Something in their way.
Like an obstacle.
Yeah. So I'm excited. Like, I was actually disappointed where I'm like, oh man, I had to wait till next week or whenever to watch the next 5 episodes. So the cliffhanger got me.
Yeah.
So that's the downside of everything resolving at the end of the episode, is that it feels like, oh, I can stop watching this now.
Yeah.
But let's not forget the most iconic scene of this episode. I'll let you take it away.
Fungo.
You're on the right track.
Fungo.
Keep going. He's eating something. What's he eating?
Oh, I don't know. He was just eating something off a plate, right?
He was eating the plate.
Oh,
He was eating something, and then he started eating the plate underneath it. Classic Fungo. Can we just agree that Fungo is the real protagonist of Final Fantasy Unlimited?
He's honestly a great character. I wish he was in it more.
They can't. You can't put too much salt in the soup.
Yeah.
A little bit goes a long way with Fungo. And they do need to kind of use him when he's most needed. You got those bland ass Lisa, you and I, but a little Fungo, a little Sid Dust.
Oh,
a lot more tolerable.
I also got a wardrobe change in this episode. She's now in a kind of like a kimono, like a pink kimono-ish dress. And you made like the remark that, oh, why do you get to keep changing your clothes? It's like, why aren't you?
well, actually, Tyler, that was last.
Oh, was it? I thought it was this episode. Oh, yeah, it was, yeah.
But these, again, they're becoming more interconnected. They're, as we were talking about before. I mean, before pretty much every episode was self-contained. These ones are kind of bleeding into each other. There's not as many gradations in them.
Yeah. But yeah.
We have Kaze falling into the ocean for, again, he just likes falling out of the sky sometimes, falling into the ocean. He just shows up. I wonder if there's new theory. So there's multiple worlds. What if there's multiple dimensions of these multiple worlds? And so like each one has its own Kaze.
Oh my God. That would be, okay, this is exponentially crazy.
Like every time an atom moves, a different way, it splits into a different universe. So there's that many Kazes out there.
Yeah, I
just think about that before you go through the best fan fiction. But only erotic, obviously. Don't read it, Tyler.
I'm trying to find the best ones here. Can I filter?
Well, again, there might be spoilers. We don't want to. We don't want to stumble upon like Mackenzie whipping out an Omega dick.
Well, I don't know if this is like.
I don't know if it's erotic. It might just be all fanfic, but that makes it a lot less interesting to me. It sounds like you're reading it by your silence, Tyler.
I was just reading about this person. My name is Cloud Strife. I'm
14
years old. I'm still in school.
In the game, he's 16. Okay.
Right now, I'm in my 3rd year of middle school. The Shinra Middle School for the Gifted.
This is Final Fantasy Unlimited?
Yeah, I wonder if it...
I wonder if they're connected.
Yeah.
See, this is why I don't want to read ahead. Like, what if at the end, like, they start going to the Final Fantasy world?
Oh.
We're going to spoil that. So just back out of the browser, clear your search history, just to be safe. I don't want you to get tempted later.
I'm trying to look up for, like, a legit... Okay, this is Lisa's mission.
Ooh, I know what it is. No, don't look at that's like the biggest spoiler right now. If you glean anything, don't tell me, or I'm gonna start hitting you with some Miles Morales spoilers.
No, I'm not finding anything really.
Ooh, look! I just found it's a Final Fantasy Unlimited Code Lyoko crossover.
Oh, and you did not.
No, we're gonna write it.
Okay.
I'm just brainstorming.
I'm gonna go to the real
Final Fantasy Unlimited Spirits Within crossover. That seems easy. I never played that game World of Final Fantasy where they all kind of cross over in that. So I wonder if there's any Final Fantasy Unlimited characters in that game. I bet there's not.
All right. I'm on the...
Is Kaze in what's the fighting one? Dissidia.
I'm on a real... What? That's no... There's no way.
You going down the rabbit hole?
Yeah.
You going into Wonderland?
Oh my. Oh.
You just type in Rule 34? I can read your mind from here.
Oh, God.
Oh, my. Is his mag unthawed, Tyler?
Yep.
Got some soil?
Yep, looks like it.
Mm-hmm. Is he in the caboose of the subway? You know what I'm talking about? Is his spiral spinning?
What did they... In that part, and they were saying, like, there was sand, and then there was also something else. What was the other thing?
Was the sand, like, it has to be spinning,
Yeah.
like in a spiral
I thought they said there was
energy.
something else, too. Or they might have just been saying
so.
sand.
I don't think so. I mean, they say something about Omega and antimatter. That's the only note I wrote down aside from that. But I feel like in that little Sid intro, it made it seem like there might be more Sid intros to come. So he might go more deep into the lore, which is something I'm looking forward to.
Yeah, well, I mean...
Unless you want to, like, talk more about the fanfic that you're going to look up later.
Oh, no.
I think we've covered.
Yeah, I think we've
covered that third disc pretty well.
Yeah.
I feel like, again, still not 100% sold on this being the greatest anime of all time, but not sold either. Could get there.
Yeah, I think it's on an upward turn, but just a very slight incline. It's not like the show is like, oh man, this is Vandred level, you know.
You're saying it's not there, or it is there?
It's not there yet for me.
Oh, okay.
It's a guilty pleasure, but I'm hoping in the end that'll have a satisfying, conclusion with some of these, it's tying up some of these threads. I really hope it does tie up some threads. I would be gutted if some of these things just never get answered, because it is interesting, but it's just a little too nebulous to really be like, yeah, I love this. I want to like it.
Yeah, I feel like the most interesting things about it so far are things that might happen. Like it's got potential, and it depends on how it sticks the landing at the end, where it could come together and be like, oh, that is actually really cool and interesting. But like at this point, it's certainly not about the journey, it's about the destination. And so, as we alluded to, might be a spoiler, they didn't, they cut production. They were going to do more episodes at some point, and they didn't do all the ones that they had planned. So hopefully they wrap it up, by the end. It's not just like some huge cliffhanger. I've heard that, they do expand the story in like novels or something, or like manga, but, in terms of the anime, let's hope, fingers crossed, that there is a resolution at the end of this.
Mm-hmm. I'm really hopeful. I'm praying that I'm not disappointed, but I have a feeling I will, sadly. But I'm hopeful. I'm trying to be optimistic. But
on the bright side, when we finish it, even if there's not a good resolution, we'll have finished it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, like we said earlier, I think there's something nice about being able to look back on things with nostalgia. Not necessarily for like, oh, just because it was good, but just for the fact that, that existed. I'm glad that we're giving this a second chance to look at it and enjoy it. It might not be the greatest anime we've ever watched, but I also think it deserves to be recognized, Yeah.
Not to stab your sentiment in the back, but I think that would be a great back of the box quote.
Oh, of what?
That existed. Just like quotation, that existed.
That existed.
The 90s.
It's an anime.
But yeah, it's an anime. You can watch it. But yeah, I think that concludes our deep dive into Disc 3 of Final Fantasy Unlimited. Join us in the following weeks as we delve into Disc 4, the second to last disc. So we're past the halfway mark. We're pretty deep into the story, so we'd love for you to join us on the ride.
Yep. All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us. If you like this content, please subscribe. If you have any awesome things to say, definitely leave a comment down in the section below. Yeah, we'll catch you next time. All right, bye. Stop recording.